Hello and welcome to Using Publisher, Desktop Publishing for Beginners. To open Microsoft Publisher, click on the Start menu button in the bottom left hand of your desktop. Look in All Programs, scroll and locate Office, in this instance Office 2013, left click. From the drop-down menu, look for and find Publisher, and that is a big P on a green fold-out booklet. Left-click twice, and now you've opened Publisher. When you first start Publisher, you'll often be given this screen, which will show you the options on selecting a template for your new document or project. So these are both A4 blank documents. I'm going to choose more sizes, and from this menu I'm selecting an A3 landscape on which to place the poster I have in mind. And you'll find that on the right hand side, here will be a description of your template and options for color schemes and font schemes. I'm just going to left click the Create button. And that's now created my A3 landscape blank poster. Okay, so we're ready to create. However, if you wish to create a new project, you may also go into File on the top left corner of the screen, select New, so left click on New, and it returns you to that template select screen, so we can scroll through and have a look if there are templates for any projects that meet what we're looking for, or you can go online and find a template at Microsoft that will suit your project. And I can go back into more blank sizes and choose another example, and once again it's left click Create, and it creates the blank document ready for you to create your project. At the top of the screen are the Office ribbons that display the tools you'll use while creating your document. So the Home ribbon contains most of the text controls, paragraphs, fonts, styles. The Insert ribbon contains the majority of the other useful tools, actually. The pictures inserting, page parts, borders, text boxes, word art. I will look at all of those shortly. Page design will include your orientation and size and guides, and the styles that you may wish to apply to your document, and the backgrounds. On the Page Design tab of the ribbon, on the far right you will find Background. Left click to drop down the menu, and from here you can choose, and you notice it's changing as I'm hovering over them, the style of the background, or colour if you like, of the page that you're writing on or designing to. We also have further options under More Backgrounds. So this allows us to choose no fill at all, a solid fill of colour, which we can select from a drop down menu, a transparency to apply to that colour. Let's look at some more options there. A gradient fill, so like the option we had that was preset, okay, the gradient, the amount it changes across a band on the screen. Let's have a look at that. So pale blue to dark blue. We have a picture fill where you can actually go to your own folder, your file menu, and find an image to use as your background. So let's go and look at some sample pictures here. There's a nice desert view, and left click Insert. Choose Transparency, so I'm going to have this quite pale. This is going to be just on the background. I'm going to have other text and images on top of that. Okay, I'm not bothering with any of these other options. You can explore those yourselves if you wish to. I'm going to left click on OK. So that desert image is now a pale background to my document. On the Page Design tab, look for Guides. I'm just going to left click on Guides, and it'll open a drop down menu of some built-in ruler guides. Now, to understand what these exactly are, it's best to see them in use. So I'm just going to left click and insert some guides. Now you'll notice if I take this image and I bring it into this top right hand corner, as I approach the upper guide, it glows. It becomes a rather brighter green line, and if I go to the next one, the same thing happens. So if I approach the corner, I can have, let's just do that, or you can have the top guide start to glow, and then if I move slightly to the right, that right hand guide is also glowing. So with both of them glowing, I'm now in the corner of that border that I've created there. So I'm just going to release the mouse button, and I now know that that image is aligned with this upper and this right hand guide. Same with the text box. If I drag it to the left here until that guide activates, okay, or I can drag it into the top and you'll see a guide. Okay, that one's resistant to light up there. There we go. And slightly to the left, we get the second guide lighting up. So we know that this box is now aligned with this top line and that right one. And you will have noticed when I'm approaching the penguin image, let's try and encourage, there's that. So, okay, so that means this text box, that pink line you can see, this text box is now aligned to the center of the penguin image. And there I'm aligned with the bottom of the penguin image. And as I raise, it becomes obvious because I've got an upper green line that we're already aligned to, and the text box is now aligned with the top of the penguin image. Although it may look slightly off to you and me, the machine knows that the text is aligned with that green line. So you might not like those particular guides. So under Guides, left click, I can remove them. No ruler guides, left click, and I'll create my own. So using the ruler, you'll notice if I hover my mouse over the ruler, I get this Create Horizontal Guide appearing. Okay, so I'll just left click and hold down the left mouse, drag into the page, and you'll see I've created this guideline. So I can actually align it with the image if I wish to, and it's already glowing, and release. So I now have a horizontal guideline. And if I click into the right hand ruler, you'll see that I've got the option for a vertical guide. Again, left click and hold down the mouse, drag into the page, and you can put this line wherever you want it to be, and I'm going to put it just to the left of my penguins. You can see the glow there, and release. I'm just going to confirm positioning of the image, so you can create your own aligning guides. To insert an image in your publication, on the Insert tab of the ribbon, look for Pictures and left click. Here I have my Insert Pictures window and the Sample Pictures folder. So I'm going to use the koala this time, so left click to select the image and left click Insert. Now the koala is pretty big, it's too big for my publication, so you can grab these handles, okay, these little white dots around the image, left click and hold, drag to resize. Okay, same again, you can use either the top or bottom where it will distort the image, the sides and the corners. Okay, so you can resize the image to fit. So once I have my resized image, again those guides will allow me to align when they glow as where I wish to site the image. We also have the option to grab this rotating handle. You see that little dot there? So left click, hold, and then just turn your mouse. And you can rotate your image, move it somewhere else. Okay, we also have options in here to recolor that image if you really wish to do that sort of thing. Reset will always take it back to its original, including its size. I'm just going to undo that. And we can change the picture for another one, which is the same icon here. If I left click on that, right click on that, I can choose change picture. I can go and find another image from my library, or actually remove that picture from my publication. You'll notice that when any of these images are selected, let's just move that for a moment. Whenever these are selected, we have a Format Picture Tools ribbon available at the top of the screen, and that allows us to apply different styles to those images. Okay, we can add borders and other effects. Let's have a look at the bevels and the 3D rotation for those images, and then that ribbon is not available when you don't have an image selected. Once again then, Insert tab of the ribbon, from Pictures, select an image, left click to insert, handles to resize or rotate your image, and from the Format menu you can apply different styles for that image. Now you should be aware of copyright issues in using images on your publications. Okay, there are some images that you just won't be allowed to use if they're not your own. So one good site to find images that you can freely use is the Creative Commons search pages. Okay, so we've just used Bing to find creativecommons.org. I'm going to left click to open that page, and you'll notice we have a Search the Commons. Now you can read all about what the Creative Commons are down here, and I suggest that you do that, but just quickly I'm going to left click Search the Commons, and here I can search for something that I want to use, and I've marked it for commercial purposes, but if you're not trading or gaining profit from the use, then you can deselect that option and widen your search choices. I'm going to leave that open for the moment, as it makes it more likely I can get free to use images. And I've also got the checkbox for modify, adapt or build upon, which means that I have permission to edit those images or use them for other purposes. So that's the most free and open use, okay, for images. So in here I'm going to choose mountains. That's what I'm searching for, and I'm just going to press return on my keyboard. You'll notice that I'm currently searching Google Web, okay, but you can choose other, there's an open clip art gallery there. There we go, it's just found a bunch of mountains immediately. I'm just going to step back a moment, and I can choose again to use Google Web. You have other options here. Let's use Google Images, okay, just left click. Here's a bunch of mountains, and you'll notice that Google has already now limited for reuse with modifications. That's the license, there's an open license for using these mountain images. So here's one from Wikipedia. Now there was a nice one earlier. There we are, from Pixabay. And if you left click the image, you can actually see it, but also visit the page. So I'm going to just check that licensing by visiting the page this image is from, because both Creative Commons as an organization and Google, they're not responsible for the licensing of the images you take from them. You are. So if I visit the page, I can see that this is a public domain image, okay, free for commercial use, no attribution required, so I don't have to cite the artist or owner of that image, which is useful, and it has a free download option. So I can now left click this image and choose the size and download it to my folder. Okay, this one is asking for actual registration. Let's just confirm all this business. Hopefully that'll work nicely. buy us a cup of coffee. All very nice. So just off the screen here, I'm trying to get that into range. I'm having some difficulty with it. Let me just shrink the page a little. Here we go. So here's my save option. I can choose to save it as, and it will say which folder. It's going into my downloads folder. It's called Mountains, and there's the reference number from the website. That's all fine for me. I will just save it there. So I've now got that image. Now if you wish to build a proper reference, and you may have to for some images, here is the URL. So you'll want to click in there, then Control and C, or right click and copy. Okay, and I'll show you how to use that in our image on the publication. So here's our page. Just going to reduce the size of that for a moment. That wasn't very helpful actually. On the insert menu, on pictures, I'll go to my downloads folder. There's our mountains. Left click to select, left click to insert, resize as before. Okay, I'm just going to put that there and not worry about how it fits over everything else. Now if you do have to cite this image and its owners, on the insert tab of the ribbon, draw a text box, and then you can just Control and V or right click and paste, and you've got the source where you had that image from. And then of course you can add your date and author or owner of that image should there be one, and this one was open public domain, so it isn't needed. A lot of what you may have in your publication will be text. So on the insert tab of the ribbon, left click and search for draw text box, left click. Now you'll get a crosshair from your mouse cursor, so left click and drag, so holding the mouse button down, just drag, and that will draw a text box. You'll notice those guidelines are appearing again, okay, but we can fit to those later. So I'm just going to draw a box and release the left mouse button. I've now got somewhere to type my text. Okay, that's all very small, so I'm just going to highlight it, and from the box up here, font box, I'm just going to change to Broadway. That looks nice on posters. Change the font size to something more readable, and then I can resize my text box to fit. I can also say that the text will be centered within that box, and if you wish to, as long as you left click to select the box, you have your format menu ribbon appearing. So from that I can choose an outline for my text, but really under drawing tools I might want to choose an outline for the actual box as well. Okay, so you can fill that in with a color, and from the text tool I can choose an outline for the text. Now that's not really showing up, so I'm going to use a greater weighting. Should have highlighted the text first. Text outline in red. There we are. Again, if you left click and hold, you can drag that to meet those alignments. So that's aligned with the text box over here, even though there's nothing in that box at the bottom. Okay, I can align it to the right hand side of the penguins or the bottom. Okay, and you can still grab that turn handle and rotate your text if you'd like to put it on the side of something. I can't quite get the position I wanted there. There we go. And anytime you wish to make further edits, left click the box and you'll find the text tools and the drawing tools format ribbons will become available. Another option on the insert tab of the ribbon is Word Art. So if you've used Microsoft Word, this tool you'll be familiar with already. If I left click to drop down the menu, and you can either use just plain characters, okay, not plain but differently styled characters, or you could choose transform styles, as they call it. So I'm going to choose this nice wave, left click. All I have to do is replace this text with whatever message I want in here, like so. And you can change the font, you can add italics if you really wish to, and sorry, font size I was referring to there. Let's change the actual font from the drop down list. When you press OK, Publisher creates the word art. So here are my penguins, and again there's that alignment guide showing me that the penguins word art is now centered with the image of the penguins, and I'll release the mouse button. Okay, so there are penguins. I can grab the fill handles here, the handles, to resize that text and its wave. I can grab the rotate tool and let's put it straight just for a moment there, straighter. I'm trying to grab the edge to move the actual image. This dot will affect the shape of the curve, so you can see if I drag it more towards the center, I get a smaller space for the actual word to appear in along that curve. Now with these word art selected, the word art tools format ribbon appears, where I can change the style of that text to any one of the other word art forms. Okay, and the filling in colors can be changed, as can the outline colors of that text. In order to put a nice border around this penguin image, I'm going to use the Insert tab of the ribbon and select Borders and Accents, left click. So I'm going to scroll through the choices available. You'll notice right at the bottom, just off your screen, it actually says More Borders and Accents, so you can go online and download further samples. I'm going to choose this built-in one called Lace and left click. So it doesn't quite fit anywhere right now. I'm going to drag it to approximately over the penguin image, use the handles to resize to fit, and then left click the center to select the Drawing Tools Format ribbon. So here I'm going to choose the Shape Fill, which is currently white filled in box, and I'm going to select the No Fill option, left click. So now my penguins are visible and they have a nice border. Now I can select the border carefully, and I should be able to resize to fit around that image a little better. That's exactly what I'm after here. A little more. How's that? So I'm able to put a border around the penguins in my publication. Whenever these are selected, the drawing tools and picture tools format menus become available to perform edits on that border image. Another useful tool on the Insert tab of the ribbon is the Page Parts. Left click to open the menu there. So you'll find you have headings, quotes, okay, all these little boxes that already have text boxes built into them, borders and images. So they're pre-assembled page parts, which is exactly what their label states. So I'm just going to take this banner here, convention it's labeled, I'm going to left click. So here it is, and as usual if I left click I can drag. I'm going to put it into my right hand side of my poster image here. I'm going to grab the handles and resize to fit into the corners. Okay, so I've now got my main area and then a sidebar which will have other information. So you can just left click on the text to replace it. Okay, it's trying to give me the edit pass to change my fonts and so on here. All about penguins, which I've misspelt. There we go. Too many eyes in there. And then we have your text. Okay. Lovely. Now your images currently with these, they're usually grouped together. So if you left click them, and again the format toolbar at the top becomes available, you will see, let's see if I can find that option. There should be one there called grouping, which I think will be under this menu here. So there's group and ungroup. So if I'm going to left click on ungroup, these should now be, no, they're still locked together. Ungroup, thank you very much. They're now individual images, so I can change them one at a time rather than trying to change the whole set or as a single item. So in this case, right click, change picture, and hopefully I'll be able to find my previous set of mountains to replace the sand dunes. Left click to insert. And there they are. Now it's put the sand dunes image on what's called the paste bar, okay, or the paste board, all the way around this outside here. So I've still got that to use later if I wanted to, if I wish to use it. But it's actually placed that image with my mountains that I'd selected earlier. So you can replace the text, your images, and anything else you want within these page parts. They're an easy, quick way of gaining a professional appearance to your image. Just a note about those guidelines I forgot to mention earlier, they don't print, so don't worry about those blue and green lines on your page. They don't print when you come to print your poster. When you're ready to send your completed published document to the printer, on the top left of your screen at the file menu, left click. From the new menu, select print, and here you can choose, I've just generated a preview there on the right hand side. You could choose which printer you're sending to. Okay, so mine is going to the staff printer at the university. And from settings, how much you're printing, in this case everything, it's a single page document. I'm choosing to print to 1 page per sheet, so the entire poster is on 1 page in an A3 document, printed on both sides. I've only got ink actually appeared on one side of this, but for booklets and so on, you'll be changing on what side you're printing to. Everything else there is fine. I only wish for 1 copy. I simply left click on print, and away it goes to the printer for me to collect later. Don't forget to save your file. So within Publisher, at the top left of the screen, left click File, Save As. On my computer, I'm going to browse to my Documents folder and a Publisher folder that I have there specifically for Publisher files. There's my previous file, Publication 1. I'm going to replace that with something more useful, using the date of my publication, the author name, and the subject. Poster Penguins, and left click to save. And we're all done. You'll notice that the name at the top of the document there has changed to match that I've saved it to. If you're saving this to a USB to carry around with you, that's always a good idea. And don't forget you can save to your OneDrive Office 365 account as well, so that you have backups in multiple locations, which is always a good idea.